All right, so I was actually really waiting to do this one. I really like to do these kind of comparisons. So 2019, the S10 versus the S25, 2025. What are all the upgrades? And let's talk about the downgrades as well too. So this is pretty interesting. Let's go over the actual hardware difference. So you can see very, different looking phones here. The biggest thing that stands out between these two designs is actually the cameras. So as you can see, the cameras have moved placements and they've gotten, really big over the years. As you guys can see, Samsung has added these thicker rings here, and the rings have gotten kind of a mixed, opinion on the channel here. Some people like them, some people don't. But the S10 still looks very nice. It still has a very classy, nice look to it. I don't think it really looks, too bad in 2025 here. But it's got that glass glossy back here, which I like, but these kind of pick up fingerprints, so they've moved to the matte finish here. And overall, I really like the color of the S10 too. It just has like this really nice kind of deep blue color, but the S25 has some really great colors this year as well. One thing you'll notice is that the S10 is a bit taller and the S25 is a bit thicker as well, and that's due to the bigger battery as well. But the S10 is way more comfortable to hold because it's not as squared off on the sides. One thing that you will be missing with this phone is that Samsung has gotten rid of the headphone jack and has gotten rid of the SD card support with the S25. So you'll be, missing those two features, which a lot of people really like. That's why a lot of people hold on to their S10, S20 phones, because, you have kind of like those minority of people that really like, the headphone jack, SD card support, and it's understandable, especially the SD card support. All right, so here's an interesting spec difference that a lot of people probably don't expect, but you do actually have a higher resolution display on the S10. It does have a 6.1 inch dynamic AMOLED display. It's HDR10, and then it's actually a 1440p panel at 550 for the PPI. It is a curved screen, and you can see the punch hole has gotten a lot bigger as well too, and it's on the right hand side. And it is a really nice display. Color wise, it looks really good. They kind of look identical in color, with the S10 being a little bit more colorful, just a little bit. And you can see the bezel difference here has just gotten crazy over the years. I mean, these are ridiculously slim bezels now on these phones. So you went from a curved display to a flat display, which a lot of people like. But yeah, it is a 2K display versus the 1080p panel on the S25, and this is actually a bigger panel here, even though it doesn't look like it. It's a 6.2 inch dynamic LTPO display, so that'll help with the battery life. It's 120 Hz HDR10 plus. The max brightness is a lot brighter here at the 2600 nits, so it just gets way brighter than the S10 if we're in direct sunlight. And then the PPI is actually much lower here at 416, and this does have a stronger glass as well. So the overall upgrade here is very good. The thing that you'll notice the most here is not necessarily screen quality. It's actually the 120 Hz is you'll notice that the most. It'll feel like a completely different experience when you're kind of like scrolling through applications, and animations just look a lot smoother. Once you do go 120 Hz, it's very hard to go back to a 60 Hz phone. Just everything just looks buttery smooth. So I would say that's like the biggest thing here. As far as the like screen quality, the S10 still has an excellent display. That just goes to show how good Samsung is at making displays. But yeah, the max brightness, the flat display, the LTPO does help with battery life. So overall, like I said, this is a great screen upgrade. But again, no 1440p on the S25. Now the score difference here when it comes to Geekbench and these benchmarks are going to be, a lot better, of course, throughout the years. The S10 got its last majorless update, Android 12, and we're on Android 15, One UI 7, and we have the Snapdragon 855, which is actually a very efficient chipset. So actually a really good chip. And then we also have 128 gigs of internal storage, 6 gigs of RAM. And then on the S25, we have the new Snapdragon 8 Elite processor. And then we also do have 128 gigs and 12 gigs of RAM. And the difference in speed, I think in general performance, let's check it out. Let's see if it's actually a super dramatic difference here. The animations will feel a lot smoother. Again, that's more so the 120 hertz. But yeah, you can see this is a nice little gap for sure. But the S10 is not like it's lagging or anything like that, which that's why I always say this is a very like smooth phone. Even though it's 60 hertz, it's still opening in general applications. You guys can see right there, it's not like it's taking like forever to load stuff up. So like I said, not a huge difference. Like people be, you know, really thinking like it's like a massive 5-second, 10-second difference. Like maybe in games, it'll take a little bit longer to load up, but yeah, as you guys can see, the biggest difference I'm seeing here is actually just the animations. But yeah, the animations have improved so much. Let's try Jetpack. Alright, boom, we're in, we're playing. So yeah, so like I said, you'll notice it in games because like it's more noticeable when it comes to like loading up these games. But it feels like in general, like applications, man, you won't really notice it at all. But like I said, the 120 hertz is playing like a huge difference in like making everything feel a lot faster. You guys can see the scrolling is a lot smoother. Go ahead and open PUBG here. Now, gaming performance on the S10 is still pretty solid for the most part. We can play at HDR Extreme, and you can see Smooth Extreme works really well. You can still, you know, easily come in here and play a match of PUBG, Call of Duty. Like this chip is, like I said, is not bad at all. But yeah, there is a night and day difference when it comes to basically everything. The frame rates, the S25 can play at 120 frames, and then also it won't get as warm when gaming for long periods of time. And overall, you just have a way better, you know, gaming experience playing like Genshin, Call of Duty, and stuff like that. Yeah, if you're playing competitively, it's like a night and day difference when it comes, you know, to these phones here. But yeah, the S10 is not really slow. It's not really laggy. You can still get away with like playing, you know, games at, you know, somewhat decent settings. So yeah, I don't think this phone is like super slow, but yeah, it's a big jump in, you know, benchmarks and overall gaming performance. Like if we were somebody who was playing like emulators and stuff like that, that will also be something that you would really benefit from the extra power. And you guys can see the 3D mark scores in Wildlife Extreme. We have 5.30 frames, and then we have almost 35 frames here. So you guys can see, you know, that difference there, 3 to 7, 16 to 48. So it's a big difference for power users for sure. Let's check out these speakers at max volume. We'll start with the S10. Man, the S10 sounds just as loud as the S25. I wasn't really expecting this. Now the bass doesn't sound as good. Yeah, it is legit just as loud, but it doesn't have the bass. Yeah, I'm actually pretty impressed with the S10 speakers. They don't sound bad at all. They sound pretty good compared to the S25. It's just that it's lacking in the bass department. And as far as the fingerprint scanner, that is still the same. It still works really well. Samsung has had this, you know, down pack for a minute here. The only thing you'll notice with the fingerprint scanner again is like the animation looking a lot smoother. But that is pretty much it. So you do now have the Galaxy AI features that you could take advantage of as well. So if you're into the AI stuff, you know, you have the built-in, you know, Gemini thing on here. And then you also do have the circle to search, and they have a lot of like other, you know, features in here. Like with the gallery, you hit the AI button, you can remove stuff. Sketch to image is kind of cool, but Samsung is going to be charging for the AI stuff. We just don't know how much and what they're going to be charging for. So just do note that. But there are some like cool like little AI stuff that you can do for sure with the S25. So you do get 7 years of major OS updates as well too. So if you do make this upgrade, you'll have plenty of updates, and you can keep the phone for a very long time. So the cameras have definitely gotten a pretty nice upgrade. I'm very curious to see what you guys think about this difference in image quality from 2019 to 2025. So on the S10 here, we have a triple camera setup. It's a 12 megapixel standard, 12 megapixel telephoto. It has a 2x optical, and then this one can go up to 10 times zoom. And then we also have a 16 megapixel ultra wide. You can actually still shoot in 4K 60 with a 10 megapixel selfie that shoots in 4K 60. The S25 here, it has also a triple camera setup. It's a 15 megapixel standard, 10 megapixel telephoto. This one does 3 times, and you can go up to 30 times zoom. And then you also have a 12 megapixel ultra wide. You can shoot up to 8K 24 in 30 frames with a 12 megapixel selfie that shoots in 4K 60. Now, what about battery life on these two phones? Have the battery life improved on these smaller phones? Because the battery life didn't used to be really that great on these base model phones. Even if the battery was new, it still wasn't really all that impressive. And the battery life is very good on the S25. It is extremely good. The standby time is great. My screen on time has been excellent. And this is a great upgrade for battery life, especially for people, again, who like these smaller phones here. Largely it's due to the one more efficient processor, and then also this does have a bigger battery at 4,000 milliamps versus the 3,400 milliamp hour on the S10. And the charging speeds are just a little bit faster. It's really not that much more faster, honestly. It's 25 watts on the S25 versus the 15 watts. It is wireless and reverse wireless charging on both of these phones as well too, but battery life is significantly better, so that is a really nice thing here. So overall, this is a fantastic upgrade. Like I said, you are going to be losing, SD card support, headphone jack, but if you don't mind that, I mean, everything else is really nice. There is quite a bit here for you to take advantage of. So let me know what you guys think.